It can't happen here? Well, it did. The elaborate power grid supplying electricity to parts of 9 northeastern states and Canada failed. And the question asked by 25 million people living in the affected area of 80,000 square miles was simply, how could it happen? And no one had an immediate answer. Dozens of cities blacked out. One moment, New York was glittering Gotham, the Great White Way ablaze. The next moment, only flickering candles, automobile headlights, and bobbing flashlights were probing a Stygian darkness. The pulse of the city slowed until its people, given pause, analyzed their plight. Then, poise quickly regained, New Yorkers took their blackout in stride. Those with cars snailed their way home through colossal traffic jams. Those with no transportation dined in the romantic light usually found in New Old England tea shoppy. Nearly 1 million people were trapped in stalled subways as a full moon pushed fingers of light into the darkened streets. The bridges over the Hudson were their usual bejeweled cells. They were illuminated with power from New Jersey, a network that was not affected. Homeward bound motorists could pass the time compiling lists of disrupted services, bakers and milk bottlers, newspapers and TV, stage shows and movies, and on and on. Telephones were operating on emergency power, and the company reported calls at far and away a record number. Some cab drivers became rich overnight. Some showed compassion. All in all, the night the lights went out proved that people in a crisis will try to help each other. It's pretty hard to spend a night in a hotel lobby without generating a neighborly smile at everyone's predicament. Some cities got their electricity back within minutes, others hours. Some parts of New York City, however, went more than 13 hours before they had power once more. And Gotham was slow in recovering from her near paralysis. A third of the workforce stayed home, or finally got home, and train and subway service took all day to return to normal. Buses, when they finally limped to your stop, were jammed. Taxi drivers seemed to have gone underground and taken their cabs with them, but who cared? The lights were on again, and everyone wanted to tell you what happened to him the night the lights went out.
The last mission in a series of highly successful space flights. The 4-day mission will be the 10th and final manned flight of the Gemini program. Command pilot for Gemini 12 is 38-year-old Navy Captain James A. Lovell Jr., who made his first flight as pilot of Gemini 7. Edwin E. Aldrin Jr., 36-year-old Air Force Major, will be the pilot for this mission. It will be his first space flight. The Agena target vehicle will be launched from Cape Kennedy, Florida, about 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the Gemini spacecraft scheduled to lift off some 97 minutes later. Rendezvous and docking will come in the third spacecraft revolution at an altitude of 185 miles. After initial docking, the primary propulsion system of the Agena will be fired. This will carry the crew into a 460 by 185 mile orbit. In this orbit, which is maximum for the flight, astronaut Aldrin will conduct his first extravehicular activity. Scheduled to last for 2 hours and 15 minutes, Aldrin will stand in the open hatch for a series of day and night photographic experiments. He will not leave the spacecraft during the first EVA period. A second Agena propulsion maneuver in the 18th revolution after Aldrin's stand-up EVA will recircularize the orbit at 185 miles. The second extravehicular activity, lasting about an hour and 45 minutes, will consist of astronaut Aldrin leaving the spacecraft and attaching the tether to the Gemini 12 docking bar. The attachment maneuver will be similar to the one shown here of astronaut Richard Gordon during the Gemini 11 flight. Aldrin will continue his EVA by carrying out work tasks in the Agena target docking adapter area and in the spacecraft equipment adapter section. A second stand-up EVA is planned on Gemini 12 for additional space photography. A possible target during this EVA is the solar eclipse on November 12th. A tethered station-keeping exercise will follow the umbilical EVA and will last about 6 hours. This exercise, as shown here from film taken aboard Gemini 11, is designed to help scientists and engineers find methods of saving fuel while two space vehicles are orbiting close together. This rotation maneuver, used during the last flight, also set up a small amount of artificial gravity. Cameras, such as this 70mm Hasselblad, 70mm Mauer, and two 16mm Mauer motion picture cameras are used for all photographic activity, including synoptic terrain, synoptic weather, air glow horizon, and sodium cloud formation. A frog egg experiment, such as the one being prepared here in the lab, will be conducted on Gemini 12. The frog eggs will be fertilized as close to launch time as possible, and the effects of a weightless environment on the developing embryo will be studied as they are brought back to the lab after 4 days in space. Retrofire is scheduled to occur about 94 hours into the flight. Gemini 12 will splash down in the West Atlantic some 94 hours and 30 minutes after liftoff. Going into this final Gemini flight, the United States has logged 1,750 hours, 37 minutes, and 28 seconds of man-hours in space. Including Mercury man in space figures, total time is more than 75 days. The next step in the progressive exploration of space, the Apollo program, to gain for the United States preeminence in all aspects of space research. Mission: to place American astronauts on the moon and bring them back by 1970.